Welcome to the AVAIL Podcast, where our goal is to dig deep in the art of leadership. My name is Virgil Sierra, lead pastor of Vertical Church, aka Iglesia Vertical in South Florida. And today on the AVAIL Podcast, we are sitting down with Pastor Chris Sonksen. Chris is the author, he's a CEO, he's a founder of Church Boom, and today we're going to discuss his newest book, Making Vision Happen. So lean in, leaders, and let's get started. Pastor Chris, once again, we are here on the AVAIL Podcast. How does it feel to be back?
Oh, I love it. Love hanging out with you. It's always fun. Always seems like our conversations are more for us than it is for anybody listening, because we just start running into all this gold. And like, what about this? What about this? So I love hanging out with you, and you're fun. And how did you say that your church again in Spanish? Roll that out again.
Iglesia Vertical.
Oh, see how that sounds? That just sounds amazing.
Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, no, it sounds, I don't know what it means, but it just sounds amazing. So anyway, good to be on here, man. Always great to be on here.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, Iglesia Vertical means vertical church. We're helping people look up. So thank you for asking, Pastor Chris. Hey,
Yeah.
for our AVAIL audience who maybe hasn't heard you on the past podcasts that we've recorded, give us a little reminder of where you're at, where you're pastoring, and how God has brought you to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the founding pastor of South Hills Church. We have 12 locations. We started it, my wife and I, many years ago. A few years ago, I handed the lead pastor role over to my executive pastor, and I took more of a global pastor role, just helping us expand, helping us just to continue to grow. So I don't do a lot of the day-to-day anymore. Still involved, but not in the day-to-day. A lot of my time is spent with Church Boom, which is a coaching organization we started several years ago. And we do several things. We do executive coaching. We have a program for churches that are under 100 to try to help them get over 100. They get free coaching. They get a free retreat. They get a free everything. So we pay for all of it. We call that Church Rescue. We rescued about 350 churches last year that were about to close the doors, and we brought them back.
Wow.
And so we have lots of other lanes. Church Boom University, coaching certification program, Church Boom Network, and spend a lot of my time. Really, we say it this way: we coach pastors and rescue churches, and that's where we spend a lot of our time right now.
I love that. I really love that. This reminds me why I love you, Pastor Chris. I think your heart is awesome as a pastor who is really making things happen. And I can't remember if you explained this to me. Can you remind me why Church Boom? Why that name?
Oh, well, I'd like to make it sound like it was super spiritual, and I'd like to make it sound like God spoke to me. Neither one of those, I don't know, are exactly true. But I had a friend of mine, we were just thinking, like, we were doing a lot of coaching, and we really didn't have a name, and we were just coaching people and just kind of doing it. I thought, we probably need to organize this thing like 8 or 9 years ago. And a buddy's like, should name it Church Boom. And I'm like, I go, that's pretty cool. Like, who doesn't want a boom? Who doesn't want boom? Sounds like, take off. So I'm like, yeah, that'll work. And so that was it.
Yeah.
I'd like to make it sound all super spiritual. I don't know. It just was, someone said it, and I'm like, that's good. Let's do that.
Sometimes that's the way it is. I like that.
Yeah, it is.
I like that. All right. So I want to talk about your book, your new book, Making Vision Happen. What inspired you to write this book, and who did you have in mind?
Yeah, so, we work with a lot of pastors across the nation, and I hear over and over pastors tell me, man, I've got this idea. I got this vision. Maybe they use the word vision or idea or whatever. I want to do this, or I want to launch this, or I want to start this, or I want to, whether that's I want to open up a leadership academy at my school, or I want to start a multi-site. I want to do something for handicapped children. I don't know, whatever. I've heard it all. But I've noticed that when I see them again, they're still saying, I really want to, but then they don't do it. Now, some of it I think is just you got to get the grit to do it. But there's part of that playing off the book title, they simply just don't know how to make vision happen. And there is some components to why some people make vision happen and some don't. I think a lot of it's just grit and hard work. Don't get me wrong. But I think some of it, there are some practical things that maybe they just don't understand. and they don't get, and so they sit on a vision. God gives us the desires of our heart. We know that he puts creativity in us. We're made in his image. So if we're made in his image, I don't know about you, but when I look out the window and I look at a mountain or a sunset, I'm like, wow, you are one creative God. So if we're made in his image, then we're creative. But problem is how do you make the vision happen? And the subtitle is Bridging the Gap Between What You See and What You Achieve. How do you bridge that gap between what you see and what you achieve? So I just want to help pastors and leaders across the nation and around the world. If they've got a God-honoring, helpful to humanity, whatever you want to say, but if they've got something good, let's help them figure out how to do it.
I love that. And I think it's very, very true. I think it's very, very true that there's something that sometimes blocks people, inhibits people, something that just causes them not to move forward and progress. From your experience in all of this, in pastoring and coaching, Pastor Chris, from your experience, what's the most common reason that vision stalls, even if the leader's passionate and committed?
Yeah, well, I'll go to the book. And I'll talk about the premise of the book, because I think the premise of the book answers that question. Here's what I always say, is that if your vision isn't that big, then you know how to do it. But if your vision is really big, then you're going to need a lot of who's going to be able to do it. So what I call that is the vision table in the book. That's a very foundational to the book, Making Vision Happen. The vision table is made of 3 parts. It's made of form, function, and fuel. The form is putting it together, creating a strategy, creating a plan, creating a roadmap. The function is, okay, now we got the roadmap, now we got the blueprint, let's go. And the fuel is the encouragement, the funding, the staff that gets behind it and cheers it on, the people that get behind it and cheer it on. So they got to fuel it. Where I think most people get mixed up is they get a vision that's really, really big, right? And they're like, I want to do this. Then they look to their team, whatever that team is, their top 3 or 4 people, and they say, man, this is an idea I have. This is what I want to do. The reality is that team that you have, majority of them are going to operate in the function. They're the ones that are going to help you carry out, launch the Leadership Academy, do the R&D on the Leadership Academy, help you raise some funds, put together the format, put together the marketing, I don't know, whatever. They're going to function it. They're going to make it happen. But who's going to form it is completely different. And the reality is that we look to our teams and go, okay, I want you to help me form it and function. Probably 98% of your team can function it, can help it make it happen, but they can't form it. They can't say, here's the 5 things that need to happen for this to happen in your life, for this to happen in there. So when I started a coaching certification program, through Church Boom, I'd never done it before. I've coached years, but I've never put a program together. So what's the first thing I did? Called up 2 or 3 guys, got them all in a room, literally got them in a room for a full day and said, never done this before. How do we do it? Once I got the blueprint, like, okay, I understand that. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Then I took the that form and that blueprint and I moved it right over to the function, which is the team. Anytime I have something big that I want to do, I've got to put the right who's in the room. And then big thinkers, they understand it. They get it. They understand. How to do this. And then I bring that blueprint to the function team. I've done that over and over again in my life, because I realize my staff can make it happen, but they don't know how to formulate it. And here's the thing. Most of the people that you're going to get in that room, you can't buy them. You can only rent them. The 3 or 4 people I get in a room when we're like, okay, how do I put this vision together? What are the 10 steps I need to do? I could never afford them to be on my team because they're such high-level thinkers and they just demand a different kind of cost portfolio or cost, scale. So I say, okay, I'll find 3 or 4 people that I'll pay for your flight, or I'll throw a little money your way. could I just get 4 or 5 hours of your time? 6 hours. I go in, I whiteboard it, I walk away, got it, I know what I need to do. Now I go to my staff and I say, okay, how do I actually do this? That's the difference, I think, in why some people get their vision going and some don't. I think there's a paralysis of analysis. They analyze their vision and they're paralyzed. Well, you're paralyzed because you're talking to your staff who's never done it. Put a different group of people in the room, form it, then bring it to the team, and then start playing it out. That's the difference.
Yeah, I love that what you're proposing, what you're explaining here is probably a little bit out of the norm for most pastors, where we tend to think, okay, who do we already have? Who can help me figure this out? You're saying we got to think a little bit above and beyond. And this is what you call vision tables: form, function, and fuel.
Yes.
I love that structure. I love that structure. Have you ever, curious,
Yep.
have you ever found that somebody on your staff team actually does have the capacity and ability to be informed?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yes, 100%. I think that there are times where a member can be at the form table and at the function part of the table.
Okay.
They can. I would say probably a little bit more larger organizations would probably have someone like that on their team. If you're running a church or an organization that's mid-size or lower, maybe one could operate in both of those, form and function. Maybe. I don't think you want to talk yourself into it because you like the person or you're enamored by their personality.
Right.
You have to say, okay, it would be like this. If you said to me, Chris, I want to start a leadership organization. Would you join me in the form room? I'm your guy. Well, I want to start a coaching organization. I want to start a multi-site. I'm your guy. If you say to me, Chris, I want to start an actual full-on massive university, like a full-on live university, I'm not your guy. Never done a university. I've never went out and bought 50,000 acres to build a university. I don't know where the granting comes from. I don't even know how you do that. I'm not your guy. But there are people out there. But even though I would, that I think an okay leader, if I was on your team, I'm not the guy for that. Now, you want me to talk about multi-site? I could be in the room. Or you want to talk about coaching programs? I could be in the room. You want to talk about, I'm going to start a hospital and from the ground up. I don't even know what to tell you about doing that. So I think you have to be realistic on who needs to be in the room. The form is one of the most crucial parts. It's where we get stopped. Because once you have a blueprint, now just execute the blueprint. But most people never even get to the blueprint.
Yeah. Yeah, you make a strong statement that not everyone belongs at the form vision table, and I get that. Why do you think it's difficult for some leaders and pastors to accept that, especially when there's close teams and, pastors maybe with that mentality of, hey, we do this together?
Well, and I think that they need to do it together in the trenches of the function. But I do feel that there's a few reasons. One, why pastors maybe put people at the form table that shouldn't be there because they've known them a long time or they've been on staff. One is, like you're saying, one is, I would say, is they don't want to deal with the conflict. They don't want to hurt the person's feelings. If you're highly relational pastor, you will tend to sacrifice the vision for the relationship.
Right.
You will. And you have to be careful with that because you'll sacrifice the vision because of the relationship. And I think you have to be careful and just say, hey, I love you, but I need to meet with some people that know how to build a hospital or know how to build an actual true university, like a real, brick and mortar university. You've never done that. And I just think that we do that because we don't want to hurt feelings, conflict. We like them. We're enamored by them. But most of it is, I think that we just simply don't want to hurt anybody's feelings and want to include them in the journey. And we all do all of this together. We are doing it together, but I don't, I don't know how to build a hospital or a brick and mortar university. So, and you don't know how to do it. So I got to go find three guys like, oh yeah, I've sat on boards. Oh, no, I know how to raise money. I know how to get grants. Okay, good. That's who I got to talk to. Now I'm going with big things, but even if it's a home for, men that are addicted, women that have been abused. Okay, get a few people in the room. How do you start it? What's the legalities?
Yeah.
What do you got to draw up? What money do you got to raise? Where do you get the grants? So those are the things that you got to do.
In the book, you introduce the idea of vision gifts. Can you explain a little bit about that, about vision gifts and how they help you take an idea from idea to actual reality?
Yeah, so the book is not only a book, Making Vision Happen, but it also comes with an online assessment, 46 questions that will help you determine for you. So I'll pick on you a little bit. Okay, pastor, you're the lead pastor. You take the vision gifting test, but then let your team take it as well to discover what your unique vision gifting is. So when you take a Enneagram or when you take a Strength Finders, it's more about your personality. It's more about how you behave. That's not what this is about. This is about when it comes to vision, where do you best sit? When it comes to vision, what is your best part in that? So there's 6 of them. There's the dreamer, there's the taskinator, there's the fact checker, there's the implementer, there's a strategy ninja, and there's the detailed specialist. So let's say you've got a blueprint and you go to your team and you're like, all right, we're going to run this play, man. Here we go. Okay. And this is a big one, Now, instead of instead of saying you're responsible for being the taskinator, making sure everything's happening, and you're responsible for the details, all the minute details. You might have the people in the wrong seat. So what I mean by that is, for instance, I'm a dreamer and a visionary leader. However, I can operate really well in the strategist role. So if I was on your team and I'm not the first guy, I'm not the first chair, I'm not the guy in charge, I would take the test and you would find he's a dreamer first, he's a strategy second. So you're the dreamer, so that takes care of that. Now, if you are leading this, you look at my assessment and go, man, Chris is a strategist. Okay, but Linda, oh my gosh, she is so good at implementation. Okay, the other person is so good at the taskinator, making sure all the tasks are getting done. This person's really good on like minute details that we might miss. So you gotta, once you bring the blueprint to the team, you have to know who's gonna be responsible for what, not based on their personality test or behavior tests like Strength Finders or DISC or whatever, but based on their vision gifting. When it comes to the vision table, where do they add the most value? That's the question. And the assessment will help you figure that out.
I love that. And that comes when someone purchases the book or like the bundle of the
Yep. They got to take this, and they need to get their team to take the assessment, because you got to know where each person's going to sit. Just because someone is titled this in your church, hey, well, he's the associate pastor. Yeah, but he's the executive. He's like my second guy. Yeah, but this is more his strength at the vision table, not in his career.
Yeah.
Not in his personality, not his behavior, but at the vision table for a beginning and end. We're trying to get this whatever launched, and started. This girl guy, they're the best for this. This is where their vision gifting is. It's very unique.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about core values. Core values play a major role in how people function at the vision table. What are some warning signs that a team's core values maybe are misaligned?
Yeah, so in the book, we talk about sort of, if you were to say, kind of what are the kind of 2 or 3 major parts of the book, it would be Vision table, vision gift, core values. Vision table, vision gift, core values. So the table we talked about, the vision gifting we talked about. Now we talk about core values. That's different. This is, especially if you have a large team. Okay, so by nature, you might want to bring everybody in to that vision table of the functioning. Like, okay, we got the blueprint. I met with these guys. We're going to do this. Okay, great. Here we go. And now you bring everybody in. Well, they may have a vision. Well, everybody's got a vision gift. They may have a certain vision gifting, 100%. But if they don't match with the core or organizational values of this vision, you're going to find it being a problem. So, and the part of the question is, should they even be on the team? But let's go even farther than that. If you've got a 100, if you're a bigger organization, you got a lot of employees, I want 5 or 6 people sitting at the function table, not 100. I only want 5 or 6 sitting there, but I want 5 or 6 that match my core values. I'm about growth. They're about growth. I'm not afraid to take risks. They're not afraid to take risks. I'm about stepping out. They're about stepping out. I'm about creativity. They're about creativity. I value entrepreneurship, and let's go make it happen. They value it. The example I'll give is, and I didn't have words for it, but I don't know, whatever, X amount of years ago, I didn't have the wording for it, but X amount of years ago, we were doing something big. We were adding a couple more campuses, and we were raising the money, and we had to really organize some stuff. And there was a couple other things going on. So I brought everybody, I got some blueprints, which I didn't know. I didn't have words for it. I just did it. And then I brought everybody together. I'm like, okay, here we go. But I noticed by the second or third meeting that one of them was not negative, but definitely slightly resistant. So I pulled them aside and I said, hey, normally you're very boisterous in our meetings and you come with ideas, but now you're being quiet. Why is that? Well, after some probing, it was, I think we need to be more about discipleship and just caring for the people we have rather than trying to go multi-site, trying to, raise more money and do that. I think we just need to. So I have a guy sitting in the function room to make this vision happen that my core value is not aligning with. We're over here wanting to take risks, step out, go for it. And he's like, I just want to shepherd people. I just want to do whatever. And I just told him, I said, look, here's the bottom line. I can't have you in the room like this because you're not adding value and you're not lining up with the values. So vision table, vision gifting, but then the core value. I believe in healthy tension. I don't believe in resistance. So that's me. I want the tension. Like, are we doing this right? Can we afford that? Do we have the right leadership? Is this the right time? Ooh, oh man, I don't know. Maybe that's let's talk about that. I love that tension. I love that healthy tension. It's good. It's right. Patrick Lenciani talks about that a lot. But resistance because you don't agree, then I don't need you in the room. And you have to get the people in the room that match
That's good.
Values.
Yeah. I love that. And in fact, Dr. Sam Chan, he wrote a book called Harnessing the Power of Tension. There's something beautiful about healthy tension, good tension.
Good tension.
But what you're talking about is resistance. I love that line.
Yeah.
I believe in healthy tension. I don't believe in resistance. I love that. That. Okay. Let's talk everything you're saying, Pastor Chris. I'm like downloading it. I know that so many pastors and leaders that are listening to this or watching it are doing the same. Thank you so much. This is very, very helpful. I want to talk a little bit about the aspect of strategy and execution. Often, this is where vision breaks down. Can you share with us maybe a key discipline that leaders need to embrace if they want vision to survive that long middle between the idea coming and making it happen, completion?
Yeah. So, and you're talking, just so I'm clear, you're talking about from conception to completion, all that in the middle. That execution, that making it happen is where a lot of guys could get lost. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, a couple things. I would say part of that is you might have the wrong people at the function table because you need You need the taskinator. You need the fact checker. You need the implementer. You need the detailed specialist. You need people that are, this person's on details. This person's helping the staff get it. This person's working with the city because they're the biggest implementer. They are going to make it happen. So you need those kind of people at the table. And I think that if you have the wrong people at the table, like, baseball's my thing. If you have the wrong people at the table, you're just not going to win the game. It's not. I don't think it's rocket science. It's just like if you got 5 guys that are or gals or whatever that are diverse in their vision gifting. You have to get these. Now, one person might be able to operate in 2 because they're strong in 2 vision gifting. But you have to get those things at the table. I noticed this. Handful of years ago in Church Boom. We were at a meeting in I don't know where we're, some state or whatever, but there was 4 or 5 of us sitting there, and we're like, they're all lead pastors, and we're all like talking about like how we're going to rescue churches and what we're going to do. And then finally it occurred to me, I looked around the room and I thought, hey guys, we've talked about this more than once, and it's not gaining much traction. Why is that? And this is what we came to the conclusion, is that we had more ideation at the room than implementation at the room. Everybody in the room was ideation. Everybody in the room was dreamers. Everybody in the room was creative. Nobody in the room was implementers. And so we weren't getting much done. And so you have to look at, that's why you can't just say, I put 5 dreamers in the room. Well, guess what? You're not going to get anything done. I put a dreamer in the room and a strategist. I got an implementer and a fact checker. Okay, now we're going to get stuff done. That's the difference. Putting the people in the room that are more than just ideation. That's why these giftings are so important. You can put 5 of the most incredible thinkers in the room, and it's going to look really good on the blueprint, and it's going to go nowhere. I've done that. I've lived it. But you got to get these. That's why the what I call the natural vision gifting, you got to find people that operate in that. I am not the detailed specialist. I've ranked so low on that. But I got people around me, and when I go into a room, I realize, okay, who's at this table? How are we going to get this done? Because if it's all ideation, all dreamers, it ain't going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I have a question connecting 2 of the concepts from your book that you've talked about. For example, you talk about we need these 3 areas, which are form, function, and fuel. And you talked about the vision gifts, the dreamer, the taskinator, the fact checker, the implementer, the strategy ninja, and the detail specialist. Do some of these gifts favor one of the specific form area or function area or fuel area, or are all of the gifts kind of connected to the different areas?
If I'm hearing you correct, you're saying all these 6 gifting are, what part of the table are they at? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, you have to have them at the function table. When I'm up in the form table, I've got dreamers in the room and strategists in the room. I just want guys that can go, this is where you need to go. These are the 8 steps to get there. These are the things that need to happen. And then let's put some dates to them. Let's put a start line, finish line, deadline. Let's get this thing going. So when I'm in a room of form, I'm not worried about the taskinator. I'm not worried about the implementer. I'm not worried about any of those people. I'm just worried, can these 5 people get the idea of the big dream and help it even be better? And then can they create the steps? None of them are going to carry it out, but can they create the steps? So for me, at the function, everything's got to be there. But at the form, no. Yeah. Not everything has to be there. I just need people that know how to dream and put together a plan. That's it on the form.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. So I guess the last question before we talk about how people can get the book, how they can connect with you and websites and all that. If there's a leader listening right now, a pastor who's listening, who's feeling like their vision has atrophied, or maybe they've lost confidence in their leadership, what is the first step that you would encourage them to take along with this book, or even after reading this book?
So the first step for someone that's got a vision, just what's the first thing you need to do? Hearing you correctly? Yeah. So if I was if I was a person listening to this thinking, I got some vision, I honestly would find 3 people or so that would be willing to give you a few hours. And everybody gets stuck on that, by the way, thinking, I don't know any people. I'm like, that's not true. Reach out. It could be a Zoom call. You might just say, you know what, would you be willing to do 2 90-minute Zoom calls with me? Because you might think, I can't afford to fly these people in. Great. Do 2 90-minute Zoom calls. So you reach out to your few people. You live in Arizona and you reach out to your buddy in Pennsylvania. Then you reach out to your buddy in Texas. You reach out to your buddy in whatever, Maryland. And you say, okay, this is, now you get them together. Hey guys, this is what I'm dreaming. Probably put together a sheet. Have them say, this is what I'm dreaming. Here's what I've been thinking of. Here's what kind of, as much as you can exhaust, give it to them beforehand so they can come prepared. And have your first meeting with them and just say, guys, I want to do something big. I just don't know how to do it. And help me ask the tough questions. Help me think about things I'm not thinking about. Help me put together a plan. Help me put together a strategy. If you get the right people in the room, it's not a task for them. They just know how to do it. But if I was, literally, I just had this conversation probably 2-3 weeks ago with the guy that, maybe a month ago, with a guy that wanted to start something for men, for guys that have, that are kind of feeling fatherless in the sense of they didn't have a lot of, they got some dad issues or whatever you want to call it. And he's like, man, and it's a great vision. And I said, bro, the first thing you got to do is you got to get 2 or 3 people in the room, whether that's a Zoom call or in the room, and you got to figure out, how do I do this? How do I get more men reading my book and more men going through the 8-week course and more men? Okay, well, and I was part of that team. And so I said, so we came up with this idea. Okay, first of all, how many pastors do you know? Secondly, how can you start working with the men's directors in the church? Okay, can we get buy-in there? Okay, how are we going to finance this thing? And in the last 30 days, or maybe even a little bit longer, he finally put together the plan and got it going. And in the last X amount of weeks, he's reached out to me. He's like, dude, it's unbelievable. I got 11 churches, 14 churches, 18 churches. I've got 480 men, 520 men. Well, we didn't do anything with the function. That was him and his own crew.
Right.
What we needed to do was put it together. And all I said was, tell us what you, put a few people on a call, tell us what you want to do. And in a few hours, we'll create a plan for you, and then you got to execute it. That's your job after that. And let me say something real quick about the execution, if I can. It's funny because just literally yesterday, I had a coaching Zoom call with someone, a pastor, good-sized church, and says to me, hey, I really struggle with consistency. What he's talking about is execution. And just a little side note, not really answering your question. I think I already answered that, but just something to think about. I think it's worthy. I really have a problem with consistency. And I'll call him Tom. And I said, Tom, you don't have a problem at all with consistency. You're just consistent in the wrong things. Everybody's consistent. Everybody's consistent. You're just consistent in the wrong things. You choose to, get on a binge watch for 7 seasons on Netflix when someone else is choosing something else. You're consistent. You sit on that couch and watch 2 more episodes tonight, but you're not consistent with this. Everybody is consistent. That is so not true. People say, I struggle with consistency. My answer is absolutely not. You don't. You don't struggle with consistency. You're just consistent with the wrong things. And so if you have a problem executing, think about that. So just a little last thought there.
Yeah, that's a good nugget there. Pastor Chris, this is awesome. I want to help pastors and leaders out. Tell us about how they can get the book. What other resources are connected to it? Is there a website? Is there social media? How can they connect with you?
Yeah. Well, you go to makingvisionhappen.com. Makingvisionhappen.com. What you'll find there is you can buy the book. You can buy the book in the assessment, or you can get the whole bundle. It's a book, an assessment, a digital study guide, master classes, get all that together. The honestly, the most cheapest way to go, it sounds like it's a pitch and it's not. The cheapest price is actually the bulk rate. It's radically reduced if you do 10 or more. And honestly, if you're going to do this and you really want to go after vision, like, you can't just take the assessment yourself. You got to get the top 10 people on your team, go through the book together, go through the assessment together, and figure out, where do we fit? Okay, how are we going to make this thing happen? So that really, the big bundle and the bulk rate is radically reduced. And honestly, it's just reduced because I just know we reduced it drastically. And the reason is because I just know if a guy reads the book and takes the assessment, that's going to help a little, but it's not going to move the needle. What's going to move the needle is when you get your team on board with you. So we radically reduced it for the bulk rate of 10 or more. And again, you can get all of that at makingvisionhappen.com.
Love it. Makingvisionhappen.com. Can you also share, I think it might be helpful for some pastors as well that maybe haven't heard you before on our podcast. And by the way, you need to go back and listen to all of the podcasts that we've done together with Pastor Chris Sonksen, because they are all amazing. But can you mention also for the website for Church Boom?
Yeah. Churchboom.org. Churchboom.org. You can sign up for Church Boom University, which is ongoing training and helping you, coaching certification programs, network. If you're a church under 100, definitely go there. And you'll find coaching for free. You can get coaching for free up to 2 years. You get a retreat for free. We help you. All our goal is to get you over 100. And then there's executive coaching, one-on-one executive coaching. I just got a text literally this morning. They started executive coaching 9 months ago, and they were running about 1,400, and they've gone 4 straight weeks at 1,900 in less than a year.
Beautiful.
They've grown by 500. So that's a huge increase. So executive coaching is wildly successful. So all of it's at churchboom.org. And also our podcast, we call it Fly on the Wall. Ours is a little different. We don't interview people. We actually do live coaching conversations that you get to watch.
Beautiful.
So it's called Fly on the Wall.
Yeah,
podcast.
I love it. That's awesome. I think conversations like this are so helpful, especially because you Pastor Chris, you help put the cookies down on the lower shelf because of your experience, your gifting as well. That's such a blessing. What would you like to leave on our hearts as we finish off this podcast?
You know, the thing that comes to my mind is, I think it's so sad to have vision and take it to the grave. I think it's so sad to have dreams and ideas, vision that could change the world, and then take it to the grave. I say this all the time to people, and I've probably known for saying it. You've probably heard me on podcasts say it, but it's 3 words. You got to rob the grave. Rob the grave. Do not take your vision to the grave. Don't take your dreams and ideas to the grave. Make them happen. And you know what? Some of them will work and some won't. But I love it this way. I always say, man, when I show up to meet Jesus, whose hands are wounded with the nails of the cross, I want to look at him and go, I don't think I always got it right, but man, did I try, and some of the vision worked, Lord, some flopped, but man, did I try. I swung, in the words of my friend who passed away a few years ago in a plane accident, Miles Monroe. He would always tell me, Chris, you need to die empty. Make sure that when you die, all your visions, all your dreams, everything has been lived out. That's what I would tell everybody. Rob the grave, die empty, go after your vision. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't, but you've got to go after it. You do not want to show up and meet Jesus and go, you gave me 4 ideas and I didn't do any of them. That's just not a conversation you want to have with the Lord.
That's good. That's so good. Pastor Chris, on behalf of Dr. Sam Chand, Martijn van Tilborg, our whole AVAIL team, we honor you, brother. We're thankful for you. Thank you for putting out resources that help pastors, that help leaders. And I love the heart of Church Boom is just amazing. Help rescue churches and then also just coach and push leaders forward. What a great blessing. We honor you. We're thankful for you and can't wait for this book to get out.
Amen. Thank you, my friend. It's an honor to be on here. Appreciate you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this episode of the AVAIL Podcast. For more leadership resources, check us out at theartofleadership.com and make sure to claim your free trial subscription of the AVAIL Journal at availjournal.com. As always, it's a pleasure to host you. My name is Virgil Sierra. We'll catch you next time right here on the AVAIL Podcast.